Hello, you are with the Shadow Project. I'm here with Terry Media and Tim Curry. And I'm Matt Adcock, the author of Complete Darkness.
I should do an intro, did I? I didn't do an intro, did I? Just kind of jumped in.
No, do an intro. Let's
I'll do an intro. Hello, Matt. Nice to meet you. Today we're here with Matt Adcock.
That's again. What's it?
I thought I'd get your name wrong like I did when I was on Twitter.
It's cock, all right?
In this episode of the Shadows Project, we discuss Matt Adcock's epic debut novel, Complete Darkness, an action-packed comic fantasy which thrills, shocks and entertains from start to finish.
Good. So we're here today to talk about your amazing book, yeah?
Bless you.
It's quality, man, honestly. After reading it, I wanted to go to the I Want to Be a Contender flashback karma bot.
Yeah.
So that, that was one of the things that's, weird things like that. You got that from On the Waterfront, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many kind of references that different audiences get because they've got their exposure to different media. So that's kind of fascinating. Right from those I sort of grew up with who get the little in jokes about like school nicknames and stuff, right through to kind of, pop culture and all of that.
So like Keira Knightley and all these things, yeah. So it's like reading it. I was just, like I said to you, it was a bit like mind bending. I was trying, because the underlying theme you can get, it's quite like straightforward, but the writing style kind of flashes in different directions and takes you to one place and another place. And there's things called streams that take you, all these things. And you've got L2, which is New London above Old London.
Yeah.
There's football references in there. There's parts of it seemed a bit like, Dusk Till Dawn, like a sexy bloodbath type.
Yeah.
thing. So
I like that. A sexy bloodbath would be a great cover quote,
Yeah, amazing. So first thing I'd like to do is just for you to kind of summarize the book a little bit, because if me or Terry do it, it'll be a terrible summary, and you'll say no.
Sure. Yeah. So Complete Darkness is the unhappy tale of what happens if we're exploring dark matter and find out that it's actually hell, as in the spiritual realm where you go if you're bad and and get tortured forever. Not good news for humanity. Also, even worse news that the devil is actually on the planet Earth as the president, and not very happy that we get a map of his homeland. Decides to wipe us all out. And there is a weapon isotope, I'd call it. Basically, the idea behind this is that if I marked you, Tony, with it, everyone would kill you. They wouldn't know why. They just want to kill you, and afterwards they wouldn't even know why they did it. But if you survive,
this was like a zombie, attack. Yeah. You said it was the ultimate kick my ass sign or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's like having a kick me sign on your back. But yeah, so what happens if you survive more than 24 hours with it in your system, though, is that you actually evolve superpowers to fight back. And so unwittingly, the devil creates probably the only person strong enough to actually fight him. And they fight. That's the end.
It's amazing. Like a trip, yeah. It was Terry introduced me to the book first. So I'm here with Terry Media. Right. What was that book you wrote, Terry?
I've forgotten now. Tales from the Green Hills, I think.
Tales from the Green Hills, yeah. Writer of Tales from the Green Hills, and he's been chatting to you, Matt, online, yeah. And he recommended this book, said it was great, and we should interview you. So, any comments?
I've got nothing but praise for Terry's taste in books and for his writing skill too. I really enjoyed Tales from Green Hill, so much so that I dropped a quote. He wanted to quote on his cover. I don't know if you want to tell you about the typo that he almost put on there.
Yeah. I decided to get a new cover for the book. Guy from Orthodox Press, he did a draft for me, and he suggested that we get some of the memorable reviews that you've had, put them on the cover of the book. And I chose yours. It was a cracking review you gave me. Thanks for that, Matt. But you said Liverpool has its own train spotting. But I put that out, the draft copy, onto Facebook, and I had a couple of sort of strange replies saying, "Terry, is this the novel I've just read? What's going on? I didn't notice this. There's some kind of hidden meaning about it." And I'd missed the eye out in train. So it looked like it was Liverpool has its own trans spotting, and no reference to anyone transgender in the novel at all.
I mean, that's a very different book, I'd imagine.
Yeah, it was.
Was that really a mistake, or was it on purpose?
No. Well, the guy who did the cover, he didn't spot it either, until we had a good laugh about it. Matt, talking about covers, your animated cover is the best one I've ever seen. That was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, there's this really cool guy called Blink Drive. If you want to look
I was going to ask you his name. Yeah.
On Twitter, he will do them for you for not many pounds. And I mean, it depends on what your cover's like as to what you can actually do with it. But having all that white space to play with, and bringing in the sort of the smoky darkness and making it go dark and making the devil's eyes light up, I was like, boom, I love that. So I was blown away.
The religious part of the book, focuses on religious. So there's a part that says like everybody follows us now, or everybody believes us now, so it must be true.
Yeah. It's sheep mentality, like basically.
Yeah. So this is like, it's like a T-shirt I saw many years ago that said 1 million heroin addicts can't be wrong. Yeah.
Good product endorsement, isn't it? Yeah.
So could you just talk about this and like the the religious sort of theme of the book behind?
Yeah, sure.
And like maybe your own background and your.
I mean, I worked for a theological college for 7 years, so I used to get to chat to some of the best thinking theologians in the world, and they, that's where the stuff about hell came from, really. And I think it's fascinating that so many people out there believe and are live in fear of, if I do something naughty, I'm going to go to hell and be tortured forever. I mean, gosh, I don't know what kind of God you would pick to do that, but it's not the sort of God that I'd be very, very keen to put my faith in. Especially if you say he's a God of love, so it's kind of like, seems like a really weird juxtaposition. Yeah. Someone sent me a meme which I really liked. It's got Jesus knocking on the door, and he says, knock, knock, and he says, who's there? Jesus, let me in. He says, I want to save you. He goes, what do you want to save me from? He goes, from what I'm going to do to you if you don't let me in. I'm like,
so that's like the Dave Allen, Dave Allen, the comedian.
Yeah.
I watched his talk on religion, and like, when he's a little boy and trying to understand it. It's really good. Like, I'll put the link below the video if anyone else has seen it.
Yeah, because I mean, no one knows for sure, and that's one of the beautiful things about writing sci-fi. Is you can make up stuff and do a what if. So there might be a hell. I don't know for sure. I'm probably going there for writing the book. If I'm not sure that Jesus would be very pleased with how it turns out. But I think you've got to live your life and be good to each other. I love Ricky Gervais and some of his quotes when he says people come up to him and say, "Oh, how can you be an atheist?" Or does that mean you're out there raping and murdering everyone? Because no, why would I don't want to do that. You don't need to be scared of hell to not do that. So it's on you.
It's like he says, "Thank you, God, for making me an atheist."
Yeah. I mean, I've got nothing against them, and I think everyone should be free to do what they want to do. Yeah. But just you can't enforce it on each other, and you certainly shouldn't be like blowing each other up or anything like that. And I had a bit of fun with that, the Godbots in the book. Yeah. The little robot evangelists of the different flavors start fighting amongst themselves because they're programming. So that's kind of crazy too.
Yeah, it's amazing. So in the book, there's like all different elements that like a teenage boy would love.
Yeah.
This is like the teenage boy in when you grow up, you still got that in you,
Oh, for sure.
Whether it be like boxing, football references, kind of sarcastic football references about Tottenham and Arsenal. And there's like the women. It's
definitely a fantasy about Tottenham doing well because that may never happen. But it was nice to dream.
Yeah, it was about them winning the league. Yeah, in the
20 years running.
In L2, the L2, and Arsenal never have a chance there.
Yeah,
impossible. Yeah, so it's got all these like references into like games and footnotes for people like me, like noobs. Yeah, let's say. And sure. But the thing is with me, because I've never been into games or anything.
Okay.
But now most of the kids are into the games, like really more than movies, more than music. Nowadays. So this is kind of like a really good book for like on the edge of that generation. The new generation to tie in with the old generation. It's like did you have this in mind when you wrote it, or is it just something that happened accidentally?
Yeah, I think you have to write from the heart, and I'm a big gamer. I've grown up wasting many hours of my life, in a virtual reality, but it allows you to do stuff you just can't do in real life, So I'm probably never going to go on a run down the street shooting people I don't like, but I can do that in Grand Theft Auto. Mm-hmm. And so I'm actually an ordained minister in Grand Theft Auto as well, so I'm probably never going to get to do that in real life either. But so those kind of what if things, again, it's a pure fantasy world, and it's getting so good now. I have a PS5 which I bought with the proceeds of from Complete Darkness, so that was a bonus.
And it's not wasted if you do something with it.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
This book was born out of all those years of like.
Yeah, so it's
I don't know who wrote in the front of the book. It was like, you're like the ultimate geek, but now geek is cool, you know. Who was that?
That's a guy called Tom. So I used to mentor him when he was a naughty youth, and I was like his role model to try and keep him, on the straight and narrow. But we've just got into friends, so now our relationship is just as pals, and we go to cinema and we, go out for beer or whatever. So I thought it'd be fascinating to get someone like that to read and write a foreword for the book, and he said some really lovely things. So I was quite touched by that, and I didn't have to pay him too much either, which was good.
It's I imagine the book being kind of like an argument on Big Bang Theory. When they debate them like comic books and all these things, and I was thinking, I imagine it'd be like that, but it's got that. It's more like cutting edge, obviously, than most comic books, because the lead character, Cleric 20, is like an alcoholic or he drinks a lot. He's in danger of getting sexually transmitted diseases and
all the time. Yeah, I mean, some things in the future don't change, and if you live a wild lifestyle, you probably suffer for it at some point.
Yeah. So this book. So the reason I got very excited about this book is because I see this book like people in schools maybe, where they could, because like lots of boys don't read, lots of young guys don't read, and although it's like very intelligently written, well written, the subject matter lots of the young guys would like, and the older guys would like it too, but it kind of bridges the gap between like childhood and adulthood, and it's all the elements. It's what's that?
I'm still a child at heart, basically, but I'm writing with an adult worldview now. So I think if you keep that kind of passion, that kind of excitement, and channel that into your writing, I think that's definitely a good thing to do, because it's infectious. You can't write with passion about something you just don't care about. I think I'd find it very hard to write a history of the great ships of the world or something, because I can appreciate a nice ship, but I don't know anything about them. I'm not passionate about it. But talk to me about interesting arcane mages fighting mechs, and I'm suddenly like, yes, please.
I'd like to see that. I'd like to see you write a book about ships and see if that bends my.
Yeah, I'll dedicate it. You can do the forward for me, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The idea of darkness. I think there's a word, nyctophobia. I think the fear of darkness.
Yeah.
I think it's wired into our DNA. I think that we're afraid of things that we can't see, what's lurking there in the background.
Yeah.
And the title of your book, The Complete Darkness, that's a complete fear. I like the idea that London too, it's floodlit day and night. It's pushing the darkness away.
That's really observant of you to notice that, because the weather's wrecked, red clouds and acid rain, but we try and keep the lights on. That's kind of like humanity clinging to its everything will be all right as long as we're in the you see what we're doing.
Is there a part 2 coming along at all, Matt?
There is, and I think I might have bitten off more than I can chew, because it's not just a sequel, but it also goes into prequel, kind of before Complete Darkness, and some of it happens whilst Complete Darkness is happening. Okay. So it is a standalone, but if you've read Complete Darkness, you'll understand what's going on a bit more, and you'll notice some of the characters that you've already met. Working title is 2 words called Our Souls, but it sounds really funny if you say it out loud.
I also like the way L2 shits on L1, yeah?
Yeah, of course. That's a little bit of a story thing going on there, isn't there? Yeah.
Is there any like deeper meaning behind these things, or do you just?
I mean, you can read what you want into that.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing, because sometimes people read something and they read into it, and then you have like professors in university telling people what he meant by this is this. Yeah, have you had any of this? Where people
a bit, yeah, for sure. That's the joy of social media, isn't it? You get people messaging you saying, oh yeah, this bit really spoke to you, and they're like, I hadn't even thought of that when I wrote it, but yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
And other times people do get it; they pick up on stuff, so that's also really edifying.
Well, sometimes that can just be something within you that you haven't realised. So that's sometimes the beauty of writing. It reveals things about yourself that you probably didn't think of, you know.
For sure.
So what does this reveal about you?
That I'm probably a deviant. But like, I got a tattoo of the ISBN number on my arm.
Oh, cool, man.
Kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's like I was fully all in case I never don't write anymore. You know, this is the one.
Yeah, definitely.
You know what I'm doing at the moment though is I have a comic book. I have an artist who's like working on 2000 AD kind of style. He's making a comic of the first bit of Complete Darkness. We're going to launch that this year, which is a dream come true for me to actually see characters, you know, done with skill and artistic design. Because I can write stuff, but I can't draw. If I try to draw it, it would be rubbish. But to actually have a comic based on it is going to be great fun as well.
Yeah.
Matt, link with that. Next week, me and Tim are going to be chatting to the chief cartoonist for the Beano comic, a guy from Liverpool, Nigel Parkinson.
Oh man, what a legend!
Yeah, certainly is. He's got his own wiki page, which I didn't know until last week.
That's cool. Yeah, he made it.
Yeah, he certainly has.
He shaped so many lives. If you think about it, you know, and comic books are like we were talking about reading and how not so many people read potentially these days, but the graphic novel market is growing exponentially. And almost all of the films you see, like Marvel and stuff, smashing the box office, they've all come from comic books. Yeah. So I'm hoping that if I have a Complete Darkness graphic novel comic book, maybe it'll lead to a Netflix film or who knows what. You know,
brilliant.
I think it needs to be a series, wouldn't it?
That would be cool. Yeah,
because you could. It'd be difficult to get all this in one film. You know.
That's true. And this is a 4-hour thing, like the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League that just came out.
Yeah, or Star Wars or something, yeah. But like, you were in a film. You sent me a picture today, so I was thinking, and just send me some pictures because obviously they add to like the video in the end. But you sent me a picture about a film you were in with Paddy Constantine and
yeah, that was excellent. It's a book called The Girl with All the Gifts, and it's like a zombie thing where this plant gets inside people and it takes over you, and you basically become like a zombie. So they sprayed me green, and I got to run around an Air Force base chasing Gemma Arterton with heavy machine gun fire being fired at us, pretending to die. It was an absolute brilliant laugh, and got paid for it. So that's my one and only acting credit, but it was brilliant fun.
They didn't cut you out on anything. Are you actually?
No, you can see me in there. I mean, obviously being an extra, you can't exactly mug to camera and just go like.
Yeah.
But you have to just get on with it. But there's bits where you run past and go like, "Oh, me."
Should do like a trait, a recognizable move,
Yeah. Whip out a copy of my book. Like, well, this looks good.
Yeah, that was good. So did that whet your appetite for you? Had you started writing this book when you were in this film? Yeah, like this is a work in progress for years.
I mean, the book's been over years. Yeah, I used to commute into London on the train, and I would write in a hardback book, kind of like longhand. The joy of doing that is that you get an archive of all your best kind of thoughts and ideas for forever. And you can't lose it on a hard drive or something. But secondly, when you go to type it up, that's when you can do your first edit. So when you're typing your words that you've written, you can kind of refine them a bit, expand on it. And there's times when you're really not like feeling it. You haven't got any inspiration, but that's when you can go back to your book and find out all your good stuff that you had, and just kind of it's almost then a more mechanical process of kind of extrapolating it rather than having to sit there thinking, oh gosh, what happens next? Mm-hmm. And I got to meet one of my massive literary heroes, Ian Banks, who wrote some dark fiction and some great sci-fi. And it was his idea. He said, look, Matt, just keep a book with you all the time and, write down any thoughts you have. So I get up in the middle of the night and quickly scribble something down, because sometimes when you're dreaming, that's when it hits you.
Yeah, definitely. So the style of this book, is it cyberpunk? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
I've been told like this style, but I've never read anything like this. I was trying to like classify it. I just called it like porn.
Nice.
Honestly, I just thought because it had every element in it. Honestly, I'm not just trying to set the book for you, but it was like, because
get it banned, mate. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I was just like thinking this has got everything in it. You know what I mean? The first bit, I was like struggling because you jump between even like the font jumps. I don't know, maybe
Yes,
you can talk
it
about
does.
that, why the font changes and things. It's taking you to different screens, for
Yeah.
example. But
That's exactly right.
but it was like, it was like porn. Well, like
I don't know what sort of porn you watch, mate, but like, yeah, with mech robots in it and stuff.
I don't know, like intellectual porn. I don't know, something like that.
Ooh,
Stimulated.
okay. Now you're talking. That sounds
I
more
mean,
fun.
even some of the lines in it, there was something about like a late. He's got like Cleric 20. He's got like a floating drone behind him. Yeah,
Yeah.
that helps him out and knows everything about him. And he brings a girl back, and it says something like, "Has he got any pleasure detectors?"
Attachments. Yeah.
Yeah. And he says, "Oh, look, you want to see what it can do with his laser beam and a bunch of bananas."
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't you? You don't see that in Star Wars, but like, everyone's been thinking it at some point. I wonder what R2-D2 could do.
What can he do? Can you explain? Can you elaborate on this? What was he going to do with this?
It was literally a kind of, I wonder. You can ask my wife. We don't have any floating droids around the house with pleasure attachments.
Yeah.
But I can see it happening one day. I mean, not for us, sorry, dear. But like in Japan, they're already making like stuff. So
octopus.
One day.
Yeah. Because like on the first read, the first 30 pages, I was like, it was a bit. It's difficult for me because it's a different genre, and from what I've read before. And I've read all different types of things, but when I was reading it, but then once I got into it, I don't know what scared me more, when I didn't understand it or when I started to understand.
Nice. I mean, it is supposed to be scary. It's not a future we want to happen.
Yeah.
And I work with quite a lot of females in the charity world, and some of them read it, and their feedback was like, well, the female characters aren't very strong. They're mostly eye candy or sex objects. And I was like, that's intentional, because the world is going to hell, and the patriarchy being so overt like that is kind of a sign that we're in the end times.
Yeah.
And I think I might have got away with it. In the short story I did, you can find online, there's a tech that, this is after talking to the women at work, they said, wouldn't it be fun if, even if you're in a bar and the women have got this tech in their head chips that can identify abusive blokes by a little like sign above their head, that the blokes can't see it, so they don't know, but the women are warned that there's a deviant guy over there, and the sign is a little floating cock above their heads.
This I mean, some of the things in the book, what are they taken from real, you have Tinder and all these things.
Sure.
Like, what things are like sort of taken from real? Is there anything that you think a real possibility of happening?
I think we might actually see robots trying to tell us what to think in the future, out there on street corners and stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of the next generation of adverts, isn't it? Like the holographic stuff in Blade Runner, and that was quite an influence on me, Blade Runner, both the first and the second film. And I think the more we fuse our lives with tech, so everyone's got smartphones now, but I can see them being in your head at some point. So we all have a chip in your head. I mean, I've had my vaccine, so I've already got one, so that's kind of good. But you know what I mean? But like, it will be your bank account, it will be your medical records, it will be your security, it will be your house key, so your house won't let you in unless your head chip's there. All that kind of stuff is probably going to happen one day, and it's quite terrifying in some ways.
Can you just explain this chatter in the book?
Yeah, chatter is when you become kind of like confused all the time by this sheer amount of information and exposure to adverts and all music and everything. So again, that's a kind of terrifying what if, that we just can't think straight anymore because there's so much chatter. And I guess if you spend much time on Twitter, you can kind of almost see that kind of thing happening. If you just track that all the time, there's so many different voices and you're thinking this way, that way. So perhaps I'm just getting old, but that was one of my fears, is that just so much noise, that where do you manage to get some calm and actually calm it out?
Yeah, so you can go crazy. Okay, Teddy, you want?
I've got a friend of mine who sort of describes that as having, he called it his monkey brain. It's just absolutely just flying with different ideas going all over the place, and he has to sort of go away and sit in a dark cupboard. And just with a tea towel on his head, just to filter everything out, filter all this noise out.
Yeah, it's great.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, a good tip there. Thanks.
So, Matt, what do you do to get rid of chatter?
What do? It's probably not the best solution, but that's when I go to virtuality and play games because I can be someone else and I leave my current existence behind. So, you know, at the moment I'm playing a Yakuza game and I'm in Japan, you know, being a crime boss, and a whole different set of problems to sort out. But like, and most of them can be sorted with violence, which is not how I live my life in the real world. So it's quite cathartic in that way. I do read a lot. I like to escape into other people's imaginations, and I watch a lot of films. Been a film critic for a group of local papers for like 20 years. So before the pandemic, I've been to cinema every week for free for 20 years, and that was kind of cool. I really missed that.
So all these characters in your book, like Cleric 20, anyway. He's I don't know. I was trying to picture him, what he looks like. You know, is that I was just trying to think. What I was thinking of, like, I don't know, the Punisher. You know,
yeah, that's not bad. Not a bad show.
Combined with Rocky, I kept getting. I don't know why this is a bad one. I kept getting Nicolas Cage in my head.
I mean, it's that kind of craziness that happens to him. You could, and Nicolas Cage has made a few good films. You know, there's like The Rock and stuff, and you know, I liked him in Mandy, where he goes completely insane and takes on a cult, and it's a bloodbath basically. But he does it grinning all the way through. So you know, when he picks up rocket launchers and stuff, he was like, whoa. I had the most brilliant thing happen. I've just had my birthday, and one of my readers is a whittler, and I didn't even know whittling was a thing. But she had made Cleric 20 and Gix, like little figures, and painted them meticulously, like Warhammer style. You know, I was just like, someone had taken the effort to actually create characters for my book. It must have taken them weeks to actually make these little things.
Yeah, that's well impressed. Honestly, I could see it getting like some kind of cult following, really. Because when you I started visualizing, like you know, like Lord of the Rings. I loved Lord of the Rings when I was a kid, and when they made that film, the casting, I thought it was really amazing. Like especially Aragorn, which was my favorite character.
Yeah, I mean, it's the right answer. You know, if you'd said like Samwise Gamgee was your favorite character, I might have cut the conversation off. But like, no, he's a dude.
Yeah. So who would you have in mind for this guy?
Well, I mean, when I started writing it, I'd kind of got Bruce Willis visions, but like it's taken so long to get here that he's too old to really kind of play that role now. So I'd maybe go with maybe one of the Ryans, either Ryan Reynolds or Ryan Gosling. Like one would bring kind of funniness to it, one brings kind of a bit of menace to it, but they're both good-looking chaps. So
that's it. Or like a Harrison Ford type, but obviously he's old. But like when
he was younger,
a rough but cool-looking guy who gets loads of girls, drinks, and amazing.
I mean, a bit like yourself, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I felt intimidated today by Terry. He looks like he's on the. He looks very professional.
He does, but he also looks a bit like a mafia don. He looks like a Godfather, and he's gonna any minute he's gonna go like, dead.
Terry, have you ever been involved with the mafia?
Not recently. Not in the past couple of weeks. No.
That's a leading question on camera, isn't it? Like,
I remember I was working in one place, and some guy. I was in Stevenage, and this company I was working with, they were opening boxes. We had to open a shed load of boxes, and somebody said, "Gives you a knife." I said, "What do you mean, your knife?" He said, "Well, you're from Liverpool, aren't you?" I thought everyone from Liverpool carries a Stanley knife.
Wow.
So I shot the bastard.
I mean, fair play. I live near Stevenage, actually. I live in Hitchin, which is just not too far.
Oh, yeah, next door. Yeah.
So I get over there to cinema and stuff sometimes. And there's like things happen over there that you just would not expect. Yeah. Literally coming out from cinema late at night. Sometimes you just see people running down the roads in various states of undress, and that, all right, this is Stevenage. Doesn't happen in Hitchin.
So your theme tune, the thing, like obviously you put the Pixies in there, I love a bit of old school indie alt stuff. So what other sort of music would be included in this like epic TV series?
Well, when I first started writing the book, I got a mate to make it's really poor trailer for it, and we put the Cult She Sells Sanctuary over the top because I love that sort of what kind of style stuff. I think electro, the stuff in Blade Runner for the audio book, which I'm hoping to get done is kind of like would make a nice background, sort of the synthy kind of slightly menacing kind of techie feelings to it. But I love a whole range of music. I mean, this shirt is for Pop Will Eat Itself. I don't know if you remember them from the 80s. Like,
I just thought that was about you.
oh, cheers, man. And they called themselves the Incredible PWEI. So I like that kind of ballsiness. And also like Carter, the Unstoppable Sex Machine. I thought those sort of names are kind of quite ones to conjure with.
Any chance of a film? Have you had anyone knocking on the door, buying your film rights?
I've had one agent from Hollywood get in touch, but I don't think they were serious. I think they were just doing a speculative sort of thing to see if anyone had the rights for it. Like I said, when I've got the comic book done, I might send it out to a few people just to sort of, never know, do you? And what I've learned a lot about sort of being an author is you have to push the doors to get the exposure.
Yeah.
If you just sit there, I know some authors who have published a book and it's not a bad book at all. They put it on Amazon and they never sell one. They're like, Matt, what's going on? It's been months since I sold a book. I'm like, well, what marketing have you done? They're like, I haven't done any marketing. Mm-hmm. So it's a cause and effect there. And because I've worked in communications and marketing all my life, this is like my dream project is to market my own book. So I've I've had these kind of artworks and things done.
Superb. Yeah.
I got artists to read it and draw what they thought the characters might look like. So I've got art cards with robots and in the love interest and the rest of them on there. And that was a fascinating concept to sort of, because without giving them too much, it must look like this. It was just someone else's vision of, oh, this is how I think your character looks. I'm like, gosh, that's fascinating. Mm-hmm. So I'd love to see it on the screen, but you never know. It might be too dark for some. When I was initially trying to get it published, I got a stack of letters back saying this was too grim. Others saying there's too much religion in it. Others were saying oh, it's a bit too rude. Others were like it's too violent. And so it's a mixture of all those things. And eventually had to find a publisher who was willing to embrace the darkness, literally.
I think in this day and age, you will always offend somebody anyway.
Yeah,
true. Yeah, that's true.
No matter what you do, so you might as well go all out and maybe offend Arsenal fans, women.
Yeah, I mean, don't get started on the fat wars and Arsenal fans. I'm like, gosh, but I've heard there are a few good Arsenal fans. Just haven't met any. That's why.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
Hey, look, these are some of the cards that I've done.
They're cool, man. I've got some of them there. You sent me. Yeah. I mean, that's another thing that I was thinking about your book, like the merchandise could be incredible. Like the t-shirts, the cups, whatever. Once it gets going.
For the comic book, we're going to do a Kickstarter. So if you come in at a certain price point, you will get a t-shirt with a mech and stuff on it.
Yeah.
And if you come at a really high price point, you can send us a photo and we'll draw you in as a side character in the actual comic book itself. And give you a line to say that you can choose.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you do that? Will you just send me a link?
When it launches, I'll send you a link. Don't worry. So it'd be great if you could help spread the word, because
definitely. We're hoping to get we're getting some woman from Bulgaria. She's going to do some things to make the channel a bit bigger to get it out there. Nice. It's a bit like selling a channel is like selling a book almost. You have to. People don't want anything to do with it. You need to ram it in their face again and again and again.
But I mean, I think digital culture, watching videos, you're doing the right thing at the moment, because I think YouTube is like the second biggest search engine now after Google. People look at videos of how to do things and so how they like to get information. So hopefully, watching this sort of thing on YouTube is going to be a growing audience.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm looking into doing some TikTok as well, even though I hate the idea of it.
You dance?
But it doesn't matter. Dance now, but Terry does.
I can imagine that.
Terry dances to the song. Oh, Terry,
nice, yeah. I mean, I've got a great mental picture now.
Yeah. Terry, you got your audio book done, yeah? And you were happy with yours, yeah?
90% happy, yeah. There's a couple of mispronunciation of Liverpool terms, like there's a place called Huyton, and the Irish narrator pronounced it Hooton.
Okay.
But other people from outside of Liverpool said that they'd love his Liverpool accent because he talks a bit slower than your average Scouser,
sure.
And they really understand the articulation of the words.
Yeah, mine's a nightmare to try and. The guy who's trying to make an audiobook of it, because he's got the footnotes, he's got the different characters, he's got the jumping around all the time with different points of view. So it's a real headache to try and do an audiobook of.
Yeah, did have you chosen a reader for it? Yeah.
I mean, I've got a guy I'm talking to. Whether he manages to do it or not is a whole other question, and I might have to need to get back up.
I think you'd need like a cast almost, you know.
Yeah, almost. I mean, that would be great.
To be honest, because I think what happens is, like with me, I rushed into my audio book, just rushed into doing it. Everything was rushed. I wrote a book 6 weeks or something, put it on Amazon, wrote another one 6 weeks, put it on Amazon, kind of think I'm going to be a millionaire.
Yeah.
Put the audio book. Does anybody want to record this? Put that out. Totally, like, he did okay, but the accents were a bit weird again, and it just didn't suit the story. It's not the guy's fault. It's my fault for like rushing everything. And I think it's. I
need to find your book then. I haven't read your book.
Nah, don't read it. It's all right.
That's marketing right there.
It could be like what's it called? Reverse psychology. Don't read it, and then you definitely read it.
Yeah,
definitely need to now. Yeah,
that's what I'd say. Like if you're doing an audio, not that you need to be told, but it's just.
It's all learning, isn't it? Because like it's not my day job. It's just like a hobby, but it's one I'm passionate about. So, and it's funny because when you've got a Twitter account and stuff, I tend to tweet mostly about my book and that now. And there's some people, it just pisses them off. Others are like, "Oh, it's your book again, is it, Matt?" I'm like, "Okay."
Well, the thing is, if people believe in it, I have the idea. If people believe in it, they'll work for free.
Yeah.
They'll do.
Yeah, you're right. It's that passion. Yeah.
Because they believe it'll be okay, not for free, because they think one day it'll be really famous. Yeah, and they can get some money then. But for now,
yeah.
So that's the idea. When I say they'll work for free, they work under the idea that it'll be really big one day. And I just believe if you did an audio book with this, there would be people who'd be willing to work for free. You could audition them or whatever.
Yeah. Well, look, if you get your readers to help me to get to 100 reviews, that would be cool.
Yeah.
85 now, Matt, is it?
85, yeah, getting there.
Yeah.
It's a slog though, isn't it? Because half the people who read it, I've just sold over 1,000 copies now, but like obviously 85 people have actually reviewed it. So it's like there's 900 odd people who haven't bothered. So
yeah, it's different.
Maybe they didn't like it. That's fine.
Did you do that thing where you buy like 1,000 of your own book?
Oh, I can't afford to, mate. When I went to a Comic-Con, so I got asked to be on a sci-fi panel. That was a brilliant day out, and it was so I got to speak about watching sci-fi and stuff like that. And I sold all the books I could take with me that day, and that was a nice little earner. And they had these like Mad Max kind of style women in cages, and then the bloke was like, "Oh, they'll promote it for you." I was like, "Oh, cool." So I get them to hold my book, and I take this picture and put it on Instagram. My wife's not there. The first thing she sees is these two women in cages holding my book. Apparently, and I said to her, "No, it's fine, because they're in cages. It's keeping them away from everyone." My wife was like, "Having them in cages does not make it better. Like, it makes it worse."
This is the angle I'm going to put in this video. Matt Adcock, sexist. You're going on Question Time as sexist. That's what you need negative press, man. That's good.
Controversy does sell. I mean, just ask Salman Rushdie. We've got death threats on him. He's got the best out of it. So
if anyone's going to put a review on Matt's book, just write sexist.
Thanks.
5 stars.
My mum's already done that, so that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, that's. I mean, it's been great speaking to you, man.
Yeah.
We speak more, but I don't want to unpack the story too much because it's just it's a treat to the senses, isn't it? It's too
cool. Well, absolutely. That's a great line. If someone wants to write a treat to the senses on the Amazon, that would be a sweet thing to put.
Somebody out there write that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for having me. It's been great to meet you guys. And actually, because you read a book, you don't really know what the author is like, but to see the infamous Terry in virtually in the flesh, that's been a treat for me.
Thanks, Matt.
He's the minister of propaganda for the channel,
Nice.
He's my
great title.
He's the Joseph Goebbels of the channel.
That's it. Speaking of Joseph Goebbels, Matt, we mentioned I'll be brief. We're going to be talking to Shane Stadler in about an hour's time.
Yeah.
You've read and enjoyed his.
I love
the trilogy. You've been through all.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little while ago, but I really enjoyed them. And the first one, Exoskeleton, was some of his thinking in there. Was inspiration for me. So I kind of echoed a bit of that in Complete Darkness. So if he says that who's this Matt guy who ripped me off, then don't put me in touch.
I'll say hello for you.
Yeah, cheers.
So you definitely have to come on again, man. Hopefully,
when I get the comic going, I can come and talk about that.
Yeah, and come on with Mr. Beano guy,
yeah,
with Matt. What was his name again, Terry?
Nigel Parkinson.
Nigel Parkinson.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
I'd be starstruck, because what a legend.
Yeah. Okay.
Excellent. Right, it's lovely to chat to you. Yeah, you guys are good. Thank you.
Yeah, looking forward to part 2.
Yeah.
Buy the book.
That's the stuff. That's the stuff, mate.
Bye bye.
Cheers.
Pleasure.